Nick, you still there?
Yeah, we copy. That chopper's on its way. Just keep going north to the abandoned airfield and we will grab you there.
10-4, I'm on my way. I guess they didn't clear out Site B after all. Oh, hey viewers, welcome back to the Jurassic Park Legacy Reviews. Now, as you can see, I'm stuck here trying to get my way off Isla Sorna, but for this year's finale, we're going to be taking a look at the newest installment in the Jurassic Park franchise. And this time, things are a little different, given this one didn't take 10 years to get off the ground. With that said, let's take a look at Jurassic Park 5, also known as Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Taking place 3 years after the events of Jurassic World, the film focuses on the world watching and waiting for the inevitable second extinction of the dinosaurs. How so, you might ask? Well, it turns out that Isla Nublar, home to the original Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, now faces the threat of an active volcano. So the government is on a political debate to decide whether to save the dinosaurs or let them succumb to nature's wrath. It doesn't help that Dr. Ian Malcolm, played once again by Jeff Goldblum, gives the overall decision to let the animals die. Yeah, to quote what he said in the original,
dinosaurs had their shot and nature selected them for extinction.
Meanwhile, we catch up with the return of some familiar faces with Claire, played again by Bryce Dallas Howard, who is running a campaign to save the dinosaurs from the island. But because of the government's decision, she has no backers to lend a hand. But that all changes when an old business partner of John Hammond, played by James Cornwell, along with his partner, played by Raph Spell, donate their finances to help Claire save the dinosaurs. But it comes with a price, as the two want to capture Blue along with the other species, given she's the last of her kind. So Claire goes to her old flame Owen, played again by Chris Pratt, to get him to lead the rescue op and help find Blue. Upon arriving on Isla Nublar, the rescue op is well underway as they capture the dinosaurs and escape as the island is destroyed. However, things are not the way they appear to be, as Dr. Wu, played again by B.D. Wong, is secretly working for Lockwood's partner to sell the dinosaurs on the black market, along with creating a new hybrid dinosaur known as the Indoraptor, smaller but more deadly and smarter than the previous Indominus Rex. So with the help of Lockwood's mysterious granddaughter, played by Isabella Sermon, Owen and Claire must stop the auction and save the dinosaurs from falling into the hands of evildoers. So with a plot as crazy as that, how is the overall fifth film in the Jurassic Park series? Well, honestly, it's okay. It's not great, it's not fantastic, it's just okay. And for a franchise that got a fresh and exciting new start, that's a little underwhelming, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, the movie is not bad or god-awful. Hell, it's not as insulting to the lore as Jurassic Park 3 was. But for a sequel, it feels a little lower and downplayed compared to the fourth film, and that seems very off, given its concept feels much bigger than Jurassic World. It feels like they wanted to up the stakes on this one, but felt like they had to hold back a little. And that's kind of a shame that Universal or the writers seem to have a tight leash on the film as a whole. But like always, we need to start with the characters. And to be honest, there's not much to talk about. The two main leads are about the same as the first. Hell, Claire is on par with her character in the first movie. But I'd say the most developed out of the two is, of course, Owen, and that's mostly due to his relationship not with Claire, but with Blue, which, to be honest, is exactly what I wanted. He seems less interested in the mission at hand, and really only cares about Blue because of the established bond they had. He raised her as a hatchling, and the two really share a special friendship for one another. Hell, in my opinion, the song used in the opening of the first trailer doesn't really hint on his relationship with Claire, as it more does with him and Blue. And considering the really impressive amount of fan art out there, tell me you can't imagine Blue singing this about Owen.
You can blame me, try to shame me, and still I'll care for you. The world may think I'm foolish, they can't see you like I can. Oh, but anyone who knows what love is will understand.
The only other two characters I had any real interest in was, of course, Lockwood and his granddaughter, mostly because it gives a decent backstory into Hammond's origins in creating Jurassic Park. Now, while it feels like this role was more made for Hammond, and considering Richard Attenborough died a year before Jurassic World came out, it is nice to see someone still carrying on Hammond's dreams and wishes. In fact, it was actually confirmed that the character of Hammond passed away right after that speech with CNN at the end of The Lost World, which would also explain why he never showed up in Jurassic Park 3.
Now, what John Hammond and InGen did at Jurassic Park is create genetically engineered theme park monsters, nothing more and nothing less.
The granddaughter is your typical kid in a Jurassic Park movie, but you do wonder about her and where she fits into the story, which I'll give away later, but it's interesting nonetheless. However, less can be said about the other characters, especially the villains. This is unfortunately one of the weaker aspects of the film. Why? Because they're all straight up cartoon characters. Hell, they feel like abandoned villains from the canceled Jurassic Park Saturday morning cartoon. In fact, wouldn't it have made more sense if Dachshund groups were the ones controlling this whole auction?
Dodgson! Dodgson! We've got Dodgson here!
Dachshund Court had a major part in the book, and in the first movie we only see the head of the organization at the lunch scene with Dennis Nedry. Wouldn't it be cooler to come full circle and have them be the overall villains? But no, we have to have generic Disney villain businessmen to send out a political message. Just like every goddamn franchise nowadays.
What a nasty woman.
You're not making a Michael Moore documentary, it's Jurassic fucking Park!
Nobody cares.
These guys are so ridiculous, I wouldn't be surprised if Cobra Commander was the mastermind the whole time. Even the geeky computer kid and the medical chick feel really misplaced in this film and are completely pointless, not to mention the computer kid's constant screaming. God, if you thought Téa Leoni's screams in Jurassic Park 3 was bad, this just takes the cake, and it got to the point where I just prayed he got eaten by the baryonyx. And speaking of which, let's talk about the dinosaurs in this movie. As much as I bash the human characters in this movie, the dinosaurs totally make up for it, and honestly, the special effects on them are pretty solid. Hell, if there's one thing Universal took note on after the previous film, is that there's a lot more animatronics in this one, and they're a real breath of fresh air to see some practical dinosaur effects after the amount of overused CGI in the previous film. All of the animatronics still look fantastic, and some of them actually got me to shed a tear. The scene where Blue is getting surgery, there's a real emotional shot with a close-up of the animatronic, which really hit me in the feels. And I don't know if this was a CG enhancement, but that tear looked legitimately real. You can actually get the sense that this creature is real, and she's really hurting, which, along with the scene in Jurassic World with the Apatosaurus, is hard to come by now in these movies. However, there's one scene in this movie that absolutely killed me. It's the scene where they've captured all the dinosaurs right when the volcano engulfs the entire island. All but one was saved with the iconic Brachiosaurus, and when she's on the dock crying for help, it hit me pretty damn hard. God damn it, Universal! Why do you have to keep killing off so many gorgeous sauropods? I mean, think about it. You've killed off such amazing, beautiful creatures as this!
Dear sweet little
Do you remember the way to the Great Valley?
I guess so. But why do I have to know? You're gonna be with me.
And this!
Put her there.
And these! And this? And now this! Stop being anti-sauropodean, you assholes! The other dinosaurs in this movie, while are great to see old and new, honestly don't have much to do in this movie. I mean, granted, it's great to see some new additions like the Stygimoloch and Pachyrhinosaurus, for example. Even the Baryonyx was great to finally see, given he was the original antagonist for Jurassic Park 3 before they switched it to the Spinosaurus. But others just seem like disinteresting designs or brief cameos. For example, let's take a look at both the Allosaurus and Carnotauruses. Look at the original design for the Allosaurus in the toy lines. For many Jurassic Park fans, these were our first introductions to this T-Rex of the Jurassic in the franchise itself, and the toys looked fantastic. However, in the movie, the designs honestly look terrible. It just seems too generic and very disinteresting. Hell, the designs in both Walking with Dinosaurs and Land of the Lost were more impressive. Now, as far as the Carnotaurus is concerned, it's more of an average design and feels like a little bit of a letdown. In the books by Micheal Crichton and even in the Lost World arcade, the Carnotaurus had chameleon DNA spliced into its genetics, allowing it the ability to camouflage, and even the arcade had the chameleon body traits which made it stand out and look horrifying. In Fallen Kingdom, however, it's just a typical smaller predator with no real traits other than having bull horns. Again, like the Allosaurus, we've seen this creature in all forms of media before, which had much better results like in Disney's Dinosaurs, and it makes the Carnotaurus feel very lackluster, and for fans of the book, a bit more of a letdown. There are other new dinosaurs in the Ceratopian families that are introduced, but unfortunately don't amount to much, and even classics like the Triceratops, Stegosaurus, and Gallimimus, and even the Compies are just in the background and don't add much to the story. Even the Mosasaurus is just there for trailer shots, to be honest. But of course, what about the main star of the franchise, the Tyrannosaurus Rex? Well, while she's not insultingly killed off like in Jurassic Park 3, which is a major plus, the biggest issue is that she's barely in the movie! Every scene she's in, she just comes and goes. She shows up, roars, and walks away. What the hell? She feels like she was just an afterthought, if anything. Like the studio put her in because it's under her contract to be in every one of these movies. Okay, that's fine and all, but every movie with the T-Rex had them at least do something awesome and memorable, especially with the previous entry, giving us one of the greatest dinosaur comebacks in recent cinematic history. The only scene that comes off as really cool is the scene where Owen and Claire have to extract blood from her. And even then, it's only good for it being an animatronic. But even then, all she's doing is sleeping! In fact, I'm on Isla Sorna right now. I want my goddamn bull T-Rex. Where the hell is he? Document June 11th, 2002. After recent explorations of Site B, we have discovered that the T-Rex pack have fled to the northern sectors of the island after the death of the juvenile by Acid-16. Acid-16? What the hell could that be? Date, September 8th, 2002. InGen's research team has discovered classified documents of an uncharted island southwest of Sumatra, once containing recent prehistoric life. Within the caverns of the island lay dormant scriptures of an armored hand, belonging to an ancient beast discovered to have been extinct on the island since 1976. The whereabouts of this island and the prehistoric inhabitants are unknown at this time, as the InGen team is looking into gathering samples of possible specimens from the island for future research. The ancient beast. The island of the skull. The King's Gauntlet. Well, since we're on the subject of genetics, let's talk about the final new dinosaur in the film with the latest hybrid, the Indoraptor. Now, while the design is an interesting one with its quills and black scales like a darkfish or black snake, it sadly once again feels very underused and completely disinteresting. I mean, it's a cool design, but it lacks any character or abilities like that of the Indominus Rex. Wouldn't it be cool if it could camouflage or had some sort of toxic bites? Hell, some people like Jurassic Collectibles speculated that the creature would have human DNA, which would have been a shocking reveal. But again, it's just a typical monstrous predator without any interesting features. I know it sounds like I'm just bashing this movie, but I'm really trying not to. It's just that it has a lot of ideas and concepts that aren't fully realized. So is there anything that is actually really good about this movie? Well, there's a few things. For one thing, the cinematography is brilliant, bringing in a ton of fantastic visuals. And that's mostly due to the director of the movie, J.A. Bayona, who has a knack of directing some pretty suspenseful and visually stunning films. While he is known to deal with mostly horror films, his biggest rise to fame came with the 2012 film The Impossible, featuring a bone-chilling tsunami scene. When I discovered that he was to direct the 5th film, I was actually really excited to see him give much more of a darker and suspenseful Jurassic movie in its scope and tone. And in that regard, he passed with flying colors. The same suspense and tension he brought to the tsunami scene is upgraded to wondrous feats with the destruction of Isla Nublar. In fact, you could see a lot of the impossible stamped into this movie, and in that regards, it looks great. This is also the first Jurassic film to go for more of a standard widescreen format, and while the CinemaScope is an interesting direction to go with, it lacks the feel with the other 4 films, which had a much better aspect ratio. Michael Galancio returns to score Fallen Kingdom after his involvement with the previous film, and this time around, it's a bit of a mixed bag. The score itself is a new tone for the Jurassic series and does have some interesting new themes, a few of which really sound incredible. The Indoraptor's theme is probably the most interesting, giving it a heavy and brooding choir which feels like something out of a gothic horror like Dracula. There's also the music in the opening scene that, let's be honest, takes a lot from Steven Spielberg's Jaws. However, the most emotional piece goes to, once again, the Brachiosaurus scene. It's honestly half the reason the scene works so well in the emotion, showing in fact that this is the end of the world we loved as children and now must suffer the wrath of extinction. Even using notes of the original Jurassic theme to really drive it home. The only downside to the score is that it doesn't really use many of the Jurassic themes in the movie. The only time it's used to great effect is the 4 horn notes, and it's only really used in more nostalgic scenes. Hell, I'll give the score some credit that it actually uses the second main theme to the franchise, unlike Jurassic World, but only in the end of the credits. Seriously, what the hell? Where was this theme in the rest of the movie, like when they're traveling to the island? It's like the movie wants to be different, but keeps having to pull back to show some nostalgia for the fans. This, of course, leads to a lot more negative points I have about the film. One of the biggest problems with the film is that it's constantly fighting for what it wants to be. Sometimes it wants to be a straight-up sequel, other times it wants to be a classic Jurassic movie, and other times it wants to be a claustrophobic thriller. In fact, the second half of this movie, most of the dinosaurs are stuck in cages. Whatever happened to all the action scenes and dinosaur fights that have become a staple of these movies? Now they're just stuck in cages the whole time to focus more on the cartoon villains and their generic monster? This just doesn't have the magic and feel of a Jurassic Park movie. It feels more like a big-budget live-action remake of something like We're Back, a Dinosaur Story. Hell, the whole plot of rescuing dinosaurs from a volcanic extinction has been done several times before, with much better suspense and entertainment from the likes of the original Jurassic Park arcade, the Save the Dinosaurs level from 3D Dinosaur Adventure, to even the 4D attraction Dino Island 2 3D Escape from Dino Island, which came out almost 20 years ago. But to be honest, the way the film ended with a cliffhanger similar to a Planet of the Apes film, I was actually all for, and I really want to see what they do with the 6th film in the series. So while the story is nothing new, it's a good place to go for a Jurassic movie. I totally understand how people are sick to death of going back to the island and running away from dinosaurs through the jungle and they want something new and exciting, but what we were promised felt really held back, and honestly, if they wanted to play it safe, the whole movie's focus should have been just on the island's demise. Hell, the biggest issue I've realized is that Isla Sorna is not even brought up as an option for transporting the dinosaurs to a better location. I mean, wouldn't somebody in that court hearing with Dr. Malcolm at least bring that up as an option? I mean, the island is twice as big, if not larger, than Nublar. Why not send the dinosaurs over there rather than another primitive island that Hammond was involved in, which could technically be considered Site C? Hell, you could have brought back the Spinosaurus and given us a rematch that we've always wanted with a full-size adult T-Rex. Why don't you acknowledge that Site B exists?
Hello? Hello? Yes?
What, because The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 are considered bad movies by the general public? Well, FYI, Universal, the fans like The Lost World. Hell, some love Jurassic Park 3 a little more, even though I'm not one of them. But here's the thing, on the viral marketing websites for the film, they explained that the events in films 2 and 3 were canon and that there were several plot elements and origins explaining about certain dinosaurs, and that apparently Isla Sorna shipped all of its dinosaurs to Nublar in order to not only focus on more experiments in genetics, but also to move the plot forward that if Isla Nublar is destroyed, the dinosaurs go extinct. Honestly, reading those would have made for a much better story. The problem is that most of the viral marketing plots feel like a major afterthought after the writers were questioned with the plot holes in the movie. One critique of the film out of the buttloads of bashing for this movie that had some really interesting points to it was a review by a really talented YouTuber named Mahler. And the one thing he pointed out with today's movies that I'm actually agreeing with is why the hell franchises and sequels aren't interested in world building. Which, to be honest, in a lot of films nowadays seems to be the biggest problem. And that's just really depressing that most of the world building in many of these sequels that are made constantly are just thrown in as an afterthought for the viral marketing. Finally, I want to discuss one last aspect of the film which can be taken as mixed depending on your point of view. And that, of course, is the shocking twist during the third act where we discover the mysterious origins of Lockwood's granddaughter. Now, in most of the movie, she's always looked at as quiet and well-mannered, always bright and upbeat with the fascination of dinosaurs. However, that all changes when we discover that she's not truly herself. It turns out Lockwood and Hammond had actually cut ties with each other after the events of The Lost World due to the discovery that Lockwood had done the unthinkable in genetic science, for Lockwood's granddaughter had died in a car accident, and his granddaughter of today is actually a human clone.
Holy fuck!
When I first saw this scene, I did not see it coming, and my jaw dropped when it was revealed. It's completely unexpected, and it does leave you feeling surprised, but also intrigued on where this could go. Hell, it keeps more of a reason why the villain is so determined to keep hold of her. That kind of power could be way more valuable than dinosaurs, both financially and with science. Imagine the possibilities of reproduction, or a clone army, or— Wait a minute. Human cloning? In a film series about cloning dinosaurs? Nah,
nah, that wouldn't work at all.
It's weird, because this is a twist I find the most conflicting part of the movie. On the one hand, it's a great surprise and opens up the possibilities, but on the other hand, it doesn't really belong in a Jurassic Park movie. And when you think about it, the twist that was hinted at in the advertisements with the Indoraptor having human DNA seems much more interesting. And I know Jurassic fans have had their issue with that since the early developments on Jurassic Park 4, but honestly, if done right, could have led to much darker themes and allegories on genetic science and the consequences of nature as it has been for all the movies. But instead, this is a movie with too much confliction on what it wants to be and where it wants to go. Hell, some said that the film had about 45 minutes cut from the picture. Come to think of it, maybe it was the original twist that the Indoraptor had human DNA. But my guess is that Universal felt the concept was too fucked up and immoral that they ordered any mention of human DNA with the Indoraptor to be cut and reshoot the film with a new twist with the girl. Honestly, that would make sense given the overall scenes look like they were filmed in reshoots and even overdubbed with ADR.
You need to get us out of here.
Yeah. Lockwood never had a grandchild. He made her again.
You don't understand her the way I do. But I raised her. I raised both of them.
In some respects, it completely halts the action and story of the film. If that's the case, I hate to say it, but it comes off making Universal kind of cowardly. Well, what do you expect from when you make a massive deal with a toy company to market a film towards kids? It wouldn't be the first time a film toned down its darkness to be more kid-friendly.
And a word I had never heard before, more toyetic, which means that what you create makes toys that can sell.
We're in the money, we're in the money. We've got a lot of what it takes to get along.
And I really want to apologize.
Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, guys, is honestly wasted potential for me.
Like I said, it's not bad, but it could have been so much better, and I don't understand why the fifth film in a franchise always has to end up being so lazy. Again, the film has some great action scenes and wondrous visuals and special effects, but the biggest problem is the writing with its Saturday morning cartoon villains, a story we've seen a million times, along with characters and themes that just feel underused and wasted. Again, direction-wise, Bayona is fantastic, but once again, like Jurassic Park 3, it's the writers I blame on this one, and as much as Colin Trevorrow is a great director, I'm really starting to question his writing abilities, and to be honest, I'm actually now really glad he stepped down from Star Wars Episode 9. Because if the writing is anything like Fallen Kingdom, that's pretty scary to think about for Star Wars. Overall, I hate to say it, guys, but this film is one of the weaker entries in the series, coming in at a saddening rate of a 5 out of 10. While it's not as insulting as Jurassic Park 3, it's a lackluster film that, with life, struggles to find a way.
So yeah, folks, I hate to leave the Jurassic Park Legacy reviews on such a sour note, but unfortunately, this film didn't do it for me minus a few plot elements. But thankfully, the box office results show that a sequel is inevitable. And while Colin Trevorrow may not be good for Star Wars, and his writing is very questionable, I did overall enjoy the first Jurassic World he directed, and I have high hopes for the next installment. And maybe, just maybe, it's only a matter of time before this lost world is found and pillaged once again. The hell?
Jackie boy, this is base.
Yeah, Nick, you copy?
10-4. Your ride will be here in 10 minutes. Keep your eyes on the sky.
Oh, that's perfect! I just wrapped up the review. I'll be there soon at the rendezvous point. Well, it's about time that son of a bitch showed up. All right, Rexy, come on out, buddy. Oh, for fuck's sakes, not this guy again! Buddy. Come on, Rexy!
Hey, what's up, kid? Nick told me what happened. He said you found some interesting files.
Oh, I'm fine, honey. Don't worry about me. I found some lost archives that InGen was putting out. I'll send them to the lab when I get back.
You seem lost. What's wrong? Is it the fact that the new movies have grossed more than their predecessors?
No, not that. I'm just afraid is all. Afraid that we might have asked more than what we bargained for. As much as this fallen kingdom is riddled with mysteries and documents, I still have high hopes that whatever the next adventure might bring to this Jurassic World, that life will somehow find a way. Until we meet again, old friend.
Excellent. Naracus Mysterio succeeded in correcting a blood sample of the warrior's DNA. Send the sample to the mechanics of our tech facilities. Tell them to prepare for Skynet's applications.